Hi, and welcome to the business of being a virtual assistant. I'm your host, Tiffany Parson, and you're watching and listening to episode number 227. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad that you're back and you're here. Today, we're going to talk about silencing the inner critic. Silencing the inner critic. Now, I want you to know the backstory to this episode. This has been a crazy week, you guys. Um, People are passing away left and right. And it is sad. It's troubling. It's all the words, just heartbreaking. And I'm not talking about, people that, have lived 100 years, 90 years. No, younger people are dying like crazy. And I just, I'm thinking about their families and their friends. And I'm like, some people that I heard about that passed are people that I didn't even know, people online. And then others are, people that I knew or my husband knew. Just this week alone, 6 people. Mixture of people we knew and, people that we saw at a distance, like online or what have you. Just too many in 1 week. And I'm just like reminded when this happens that life is too short. And it's like you don't have time to be afraid. I told my husband the other night, this is why it's so important for us to stay close to God and hear what God wants us to do and be obedient with what God wants us to do and not be afraid. It's like if God says for you to say something to someone or to do something or to take a step, whatever, we don't have time to be afraid. God told you to do it. You don't have time to get caught in our feelings or wanting details. There's no time. No time for any of that. Just go, just do it, just take a step. And so when it came time to do the podcast, it's like all of that is swirling around in my head, plus a couple of other things that are fresh on my mind. And I started to think about how we criticize ourselves so much, and a lot of times that gets in the way of what we know we should be doing. We're too busy being afraid or too busy criticizing. And so that's why I want to get into, silencing our inner critic. There are things that you allow to be said to you that if someone else said it, you would not have it. You would be upset with them about saying that to you. You would not want to be around that negativity, that toxic behavior, but yet we tolerate it from ourselves, from our inner critic. What if we became our own best friend? You wouldn't talk to your best friend, and let's say she's sharing an idea with you. You decided you want to add a certain service to your virtual assistant business. You would not tell your best friend, oh no, you shouldn't do that. There's no guarantee you're going to get paid with that. People don't want that. You shouldn't even try that. Why are you doing that? Why are you wasting your time? You don't have the skill, the certification. Who said you could do that? There is no way you would tell your best friend that. And if you're the kind of person who would tell your best friend that, then you're not a best friend, and that friend is not your best friend. Would you tell a stranger that? In some instances, we treat a stranger better than we treat ourselves. Why is that? Is that not crazy? It's crazy. So we got to work on that and treat ourselves like the best friend, right? It sounds a little crazy, but sometimes we got to get outside of ourselves to treat ourselves better. Just like sometimes you got to get outside of your business to do better by your business. Imagine your business being one of your clients. This is why, if you've heard this podcast before, you may have heard me say your number one client is you. Your business is your number one client. Your outside client is not your number one client. Your business is your number one client for various reasons. The things that you do for clients, you should be doing for yourself. If you don't have any clients, the services you want to offer, you should be doing for yourself. Why? This gives you a chance to experience it, to practice it, to get to know how long it takes, the resources that you need, what's required. It helps you to build your portfolio. This is why your business is your number one client. This is why we have to get outside of ourselves so we can treat ourselves better. We want to silence the inner critic. I wrote this down. I always do a few notes just to make sure I stay on track, because I get started and, get excited and take us off on a tangent. Know this: everyone who's doing has experienced falling on their face. Everyone who's doing has experienced getting knocked around. That means not getting the response that they wanted. That means someone not understanding what they're doing. That means a client telling them that their service is too much. A client telling them that they found someone else. Anything that wasn't the outcome that you wanted. Sometimes we see it in such the extreme, like a failure, like we did something wrong, when that may not be the case. And I would say 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. You don't know what's going on the other side. So just know, every negative thing that you're thinking of or saying to yourself, everybody has experienced it. If you see someone doing something, they've experienced it as well. They have fallen, they've had to get back up, they've had to, wipe off any scrapes and scratches, they've had to bandage themselves, they had to pick themselves up again, they've had to pump themselves up, get excited all over again, all for themselves. The ones that have never experienced that are the ones that are not doing. You don't see them doing anything. They haven't had to pick themselves up because they haven't tried anything new. They're staying comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you have nothing to lose because you're comfortable. You're not trying anything new. So I want to challenge you this week to silence your inner critic. I'm getting tongue-tied. Silence your inner critic. Be your own best friend and do what it is that you know you should be doing, that you want to do. It's time to go for it. Also, if you have not responded, if you're not on the email list, first of all, why are you not on the email list? So I want you to get on the email list. You got to text 33777. That gets you on the email list. I sent out an email. I also announced it in the podcast, the last episode, that we are doing a free webinar. I'm doing a free webinar. We are going to go through Upwork. Even if you don't even plan on using Upwork, let me tell you, this is where you can find out what people are looking for, what software they're needing help with, what task they're needing help with. If you think that if there's something that you want to try out and you're not sure, are people still needing this? Upwork is the place to go because it's a marketplace where people who need things done are going. There are other ones as well. Upwork is the one that I'm most familiar with. So the things that we're going to go over in the webinar can apply to other platforms. It can also apply outside of Upwork as well. So I'm going to show you how you can identify what people are looking for, how that translates into your business. We're also actually going to submit proposals. That gives you a chance to test out your chops in writing proposals and explaining what you can do, how you can do different things for different people based on what they're looking for. We're going to be all in it together. It's going to also help you silence your inner critic and gain confidence. So, get on the email list. Another email is going to go out on Tuesday. Those that have already responded, I'm going to send them the registration link. So, another email is going to go out, and make sure that you respond to that email. I'm doing it this way instead of just sending out a blanket link, because this is my way of making sure for sure that I'm getting the people who really want to do this, who will show up for the webinar, and who will actually do the work when they show up. So anyway, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We will be back next week. You have a wonderful and fantastic day.